been over 2 years since I bought that huge TV for sim racing. I bought it out of experimentation just to figure out if I like it, and basically this is what I've learned. A quick rundown of the model. This is a dated TV from 2023 or 2022, I believe, called an LG QNED 81. This one is a 55-inch model. It has been dated for quite a while. It's a QLED panel. It's still a very good panel. There are a few interesting things with them. At the time I bought it between $599 and $699. I'm not totally sure. OLEDs were 300-400 pounds more expensive at the time. Of course, nowadays buying one over the other will depend on prices because the prices have been fluctuating a little bit. But before going there, a big thank you to all the viewers, members, and subscribers, because without you, videos like this wouldn't be possible. I want to reach 100,000 subscribers this year. So if you want to help the channel out, best way to do it is press like and subscribe, use the affiliate links, and if you want, become a channel member. And also check out channel sponsor, Coach Dave Delta. The first question that I get normally about this is, why did you choose a big TV and not anything else? Well, because this is a channel that is centered in content creation about sim racing, everything that I buy generally will have to be inside of the content creation that I do that is useful for me, even though I have a lot of limitations. In this case, that includes the camera that I'm recording this video in, the lights that I use, the microphone, and that, of course, the TV. It needs to look decent when you're recording it. It needs to look decent when you are actually using it, and it needs also to have some sort of immersion factor for me and enjoyment out of sim racing. So it has to hit a lot of different things. And the next question would be, of course, why not VR? Why not triple screens? And that is definitely a calculation that went through my mind. I've been experimenting also with VR, and normally this is going to be about cost and about use. In triple screen specifically, the cost isn't really that much different. Now the panels are very, very cheap. You can have like a triple 32 set, more or less the same price with this for a 1440p panel. This one is a 4K that I actually do the resolution down to 1440p. I'll talk about that in about a second. But once you start talking about mounts, you start talking about the PC you need to push triple screens, and then of course the content creation part, the streaming content creation part, everything becomes more difficult, because it's not just a case of having the panels, not just a case of mounting the panels, it's a case of driving it and it's still being useful for content creation. Because for content creation, not only I have to have 3 screens if I went triple screen, I also need an extra screen somewhere to drive or help me manage the stream. That means if it's a screen is not on top, or if it is on top, I need to have a 5th screen that will be on my desk because I only use one computer. That means, of course, more cost, more complication in terms of cables. This is 2 cables, 1 power and 1 HDMI. And if I went triple screens, it will be 6 cables at the very least, plus whatever I would need extra. With a single screen, a TV, I'm able to minimize everything as much as possible. And in reality, it helps me even more than VR. Because with VR, of course, the monitor is your screen that you have in front of you. However, you're not really able to use in practice streaming equipment, or if you stream, and I stream a lot, it's not as practical to stream. And then of course there's the physical part of it. No matter what VR headset, and I've tried the big screen VR 2 as well and PSVR 2, after a while I just want to get out of it. VR is not for me when I'm getting into my 40s, so I put it on the side. What a single screen TV does compared to the other two is increase the immersion while at the same time being a super minimalistic, all things considered, because you have to think about the side, is a super minimalistic experience because it is very simple to set up. It has actually a quite minimal footprint, even though it's quite large and this is a small room. And after all, since it's one screen, it will diminish power you need from your PC. This is a 4K panel that I'm downgrading to 4040p. It's not a clean downgrade because it's not a 4:1. This is weird, can become quite fuzzy, but still, the quality of the image when I'm using it, I don't even notice. It looks really good. That means even though I have a 4K panel, I'm running at that 4040p, which means it would be more performance that I get than triple screens or a VR headset, which normally tends to push the power of your PC quite a lot. Another option in sim racing is the ultrawides. The ultrawides have the same type of advantages that a single screen has. It's just wider, but it's only wider in terms of pixels. It's not really wider in terms of screen size, because if you have an aspect ratio that is wider than 16:9, it will be 21:9 or 32:9 depending, but you have more pixels to push. And when you look at it, when you start pushing the screen so close to you as I do, the FOV on this tends to be a little bit larger or the same size. In 34-inch screens you can get it quite close, but all things considered, you do have more real estate and actually goes wider, and I have it so close to my wheelbase that it tends to be wider than the 21:9 than I did before, with the advantage that it's a 16:9 screen, which means less pixels to push. Okay, realistically, if you wanted to pick up a panel, any panel for sim racing, what do you need to talk about? Well, depending, of course, the size is relative to your own space, or if you are going to be crazy enough to use a 55 or a 65-inch or even a 75-inch, as I've seen some people saying they're using it. There are a few things that you need to look for. And the first one is to actually make sure that your panel is at least 120 Hertz, because there is a difference. You will feel a difference from 60 to 120 Hertz. In sim racing, you may say it's not a lot, but when you're starting to hit break points and turning in points, you know, having a panel that is faster rather than slower, it is much better. Another thing that I would definitely recommend, most panels nowadays have it and you don't even need to spend that much more money, or it comes at zero cost, is VRR, so variable refresh rate. This helps a lot to stabilize the image. Now, once you get 120 Hz and VRR, most panels will actually have a very decent response rate, and no need really to be OLEDs for that. This panel, a QNED, has a very good response rate, and I've used PlayStation games with it with no problems whatsoever. I didn't find any issues compared to my 144 Hz LG monitor. This one works quite well. Of course, it won't be as fast as, you know, 32-inch monitors, gaming monitors, because they're specialized in those things. But for sim racing, once you hit that minimal threshold, everything else is just free real estate. And in this case, the 120 Hz and the VRR works quite well. And the panel, in terms of colors, is great. It's not as good as OLED. Like I said at the time, OLED was more expensive, and, you know, in my calculations, in my head at that time, it wasn't worth that while to spend the extra 200, 300 to get the OLED. And OLEDs have, you know, almost instantaneous refresh rate. Of course, that makes more sense for sim racing, but still at that time, the calculation wasn't really that straightforward. Once you get the 120 Hz, the VRR, also AMD FreeSync, which helps with screen tearing or removing screen tearing. If you get all of those small features, normally all panels nowadays, or at least of decent level, from iSense, from Samsung, from LG, from any others, they should have all of these three things, and you should have a good experience without really breaking the bank. So the next point will be size. The size has advantages and disadvantages, because this is a 16:9 panel. 16:9 panels are kind of weird for sim racing once you start stretching up for multiple reasons. 55 inches tend to become a very good price to performance. You get a good panel of good quality, decent size without breaking the bank. Once you go to 65 and 75s, they scale a little bit. They become a bit too cumbersome to configure, or become too cumbersome to use. Or for me, because I use it so close to my eyes, I don't really get extra. Some people might want to get extra field of view of that. And I would say that this, once you go over 55 or even 55 inches, you have a problem, which will be distortion at the tops. It's quite strange to say because I've been using curved panels, and once you have a flat panel of that size, your brain figures out, okay, the distortion is the other way around, and for a few months you think that you're gonna have inverse distortion on the screen, but in reality they are flat. And the fact that that is so big, and sadly they don't really make 55-inch panels that are curved anymore, the distortion can become a little bit weird once you start to go really big. This has been a crazy experience, and 2 years later, that tends to be the upgrade cycle for people that do streaming every so often. You have new stuff, new wheelbases, new pedals, keeps it all the time. Would I do this again? And my answer is absolutely. It's something that not everybody is going to like. Everybody will look at it from sideways. It's sim racing. Why are you not going VR? VR is the ultimate immersion. If you can, drive it, and if you can keep using a VR and you want to boil your eyeballs or whatever, sure, for you. For me, I just want something that is easy to look at TVs work, and this has been the best experience that I've ever done in sim racing. I would do it again. Of course, if I was going to do it now, or if I was going to do an upgrade cycle, I would definitely go to OLEDs. In this one, I would get a good OLED panel, because OLED panels will have better refresh rates or response rates of the pixels or whatever it is, and it will have better colors and also sometimes even better coatings than this one. This is not going to say entry-level panel, but it's not an expensive panel as well. It's like low to medium level panel. The colors are great, but if you can get the saturation of the OLEDs, if you can get the response rate of the pixels of the OLEDs, might as well just go that way. Of course, if I had the money and I had the space, I would go triples, 55s, or 48s. It's unreal how good this actually feels in terms of size. No 32 triple screen has ever given me the immersion of like feeling physical without using VR. It's so weird. So, long story short, yes, I would definitely do it again. And this TV is only going away if I ever get an upgrade, and I hope one day I get an upgrade to this. 2 years is more than enough time to get a good idea of the goods, of the bads, of any sim racing equipment. And after 2 years, this has probably been the equipment piece that gave me more happiness while driving it, if you want to say it like that. Let me know in the comments, if you are a TV enthusiast like myself, what have been your experiences in sim racing while using this.